Hi, and welcome to Focal Point. My name is Carla Green. I am the director of the Regional Prevention Center at the Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And with me today, I have Pastor Dan Eller of White Church Christian Church here in Wyandotte County. And we're going to be talking today about some of the ways that the faith community can help with our prevention initiatives in the community. We talk a lot about how it takes a village to raise a child, and we're going to focus on what that really means, and specifically from the viewpoint of one individual from the faith community. What does that mean? What is the role of the church? What can they do? What should they do? What will they do as we work to provide some services for our students here in Wyandotte County? So first, welcome.
Good to be here. Thank you so much, Carla.
You're welcome. Let me start with a program that we had a few weeks ago. We invited clergymen from all around Wyandotte County to come and to talk about what the things are that are going on here in Wyandotte County and what supports out there that are available and how we can bring some of our resources together to benefit our students. And you were a part of that. And
yes.
So my first question is, what made you come?
Well, we had been discussing within some of the leadership of the church how we could effectively begin to reach out into our community. We're an established church and we have a strong congregation, but we need to connect with the people that are in our neighborhood and in our area. And we had been prayerfully seeking how we could go about accomplishing that. And lo and behold, we received an invitation in the mail from the Regional Prevention Center that talked about the church being the conduit between resources that are available and connecting with the people that have the genuine need. And it was just like a light went on. We said, we've got to go to this meeting and discover what it's all about. And that's why we came.
Okay. What have you done since then?
Well, we've done a lot of planning. We are actually going to have an event on the 17th of September. We've ordered in close to 500 hot dogs, and we're going to have chips and drinks and cotton candy and inflatables for kids and play areas set up for them to do other kind of games and activities, as well as bringing in all of the supporting resources that are available to the folks as far as job services and health care. All of the probably close to 35 or 40 different representations will be there to help people see what is actually available, how they can resource help with the tough economic times that we're living in. And we're really, as a church, trying to discover what the demographics are of the people in the proximity of the church within a 5 to 10 block area, so that geographically we can actually physically be that resource for them. If we can't provide it, we know where we can help them find the resource to do so.
And in your congregation and in your community, in your part of Wyandotte County, what are some of the issues that you're seeing?
Well, obviously economic issues with people that are unable to work. We see issues all the time with providing for their children, making sure that they're getting education. We're right next to an elementary school, and the White Church Elementary does an excellent job of providing resources for the kids as well. Mr. Haber and his staff over there do a wonderful job. But we see firsthand a lot of times the devastation it can bring onto a family. Most families are two-parent working families. And if just one parent loses a job, it may mean health insurance goes. So there's just a lot of opportunities, I believe, that are out there, again, discovering resources that are available and making the right connections.
And when you mentioned White Church Elementary School, you named the principal by name. Mm-hmm. What's your relationship with
Well,
school?
We operate a daycare facility in our church. It's called the Growing Place, and we have several kids from preschool to school age, about 59 total, and of which about 20 of those children actually attend the elementary school. So I'm over there almost every day delivering kids or picking up kids, or some of our staff from the daycare is there. And we coordinate with the school, or working on building that bridge as well, to make sure that we can cooperate with one another. And again, the whole opportunity that is in front of us, we have the same desire, to get the education into the minds and the hearts of our kids so that they can be successful and productive in the community.
Okay. I know one of the issues organizations often have is trying to figure out how to get in a school, how to gain access to the students and to the parents. You have a prime opportunity there because of the daycare services that you provide. Are there other things that you are doing with the students and the parents from White Church Elementary?
Well, we cooperate with PTA efforts and that type of thing, but other than Other than that, no, not really at this point in time, but it is something that we're looking into.
Okay. What do you think are some things that you could do?
Well, again, the school is going to set up a booth and be a part of our activity on the 17th, so they will have public relations that are there and available to let parents know what the school can provide and what resources are available through school.
Okay. So beyond this event that you have coming up, what are some of the other things that you can foresee that you'll be doing?
Well, I think that once we have and see the demographic of people that will be at the event, that will help us determine where we go from there. If the majority of the folk that come are elderly, and let's say that our target audience or our target group of support is going to have to be directed towards that revenue and that resource, that's what we're going to do. You know, if it happens to be younger families with children, then that's the areas we'll move into. Nobody can do everything all the time, but one of our 5 steps that we talk about in the church is excellence. And we want to make sure that whatever we decide we're going to do, we're going to do it well. We're going to do it with excellence, so that people in the community will know that if your problem is discovering resources, if you're elderly and what are available, call the White Church Christian Church. They'll have the answer for you. If they don't have it, they'll be able to resource it for you.
So following the pastors' meeting that you attended, what were some of the community connections that you were able to make? Well,
we've connected with all of the different resources that you have, the WIC programs that are out there. The one that probably opened my eyes the most was when the Children's Mercy Hospital group was there. And I think it's called Health Wave, where there is insurances that are available for children that have parents that are unemployed. I didn't even realize that was there. And I imagine there's a lot of people in America today that aren't aware of that resource that is available to help take care of their kids. That's just a couple of the examples, yeah.
So with those resources, and you're now familiar with many of those, outside of the event that you're going to be having, are there some other ways that you're trying to get that information out to the community?
We haven't made any plans to do so at this point yet, but we're always looking for ways to do that, absolutely.
So if you had to give some advice to other churches here in Wyandotte County, what would you tell them as far as the need that we have in the community as you are seeing it so far, and what we can do to help address that need?
Well, there was a statement that you put in your invitation letter that the church needs to be the conduit between the resource and the need, and that the resourcing people were having a hard time getting a grassroots connection with the folks that truly, genuinely have the needs. And if the church can't accomplish that, we've got serious problems, because that's what we're there for. We're there to reach out and be compassionate and loving to people and provide for them. What has happened, I believe, in a lot of our churches is that we've confined ourselves to lack of resources within our own community. We're doing our best just to support ourselves and pay for staff and utilities, et cetera, through the giving in the church. How can we possibly, resource for other people as well? Well, when we discover that there's resources available that can be there that aren't getting into the hands of the folks that need it, what better avenue than the church to bring that about?
Right. So I know that you are fired up, and I was sharing with you earlier. One of your church members stopped by my office shortly after the pastors' meeting that we had, and wanted to know what in the world we told you all during that meeting, because he said you came to church fired up that next Sunday and started outlining some things, your direction for the church, and he was very excited about that, as were we. But tell me a little bit about how your congregation has responded to this.
We have had just tremendous response. We really have. The majority of our congregation are older folks. Many of them are retired. But I have discovered that even though they may not be as physically able as they once were to go out and actually get their hands dirty and do a job, there isn't a more willing group of people that I've ever worked with, and they are truly excited. We just got to provide for them resources and ourselves exactly to give them the opportunity to be help to other people, because let's face it, I think by human nature, we all feel better when we help other people. We really, truly do feel better about ourselves and knowing that we have actually accomplished something that made another person's life more worthwhile.
And I think that's an untapped resource also. With our older citizens in Wyandotte County, there's a wealth of experience there and a wealth of knowledge that sometimes we don't necessarily pay much attention to, but there are some experiences and some information that they can share with us that I think definitely can be beneficial to our younger citizens. What else do you have going on at White Church?
Well, again, like I said, with our growing place daycare, we've got 59 kids in the house every day, Monday through Friday. That keeps us pretty busy. We have chapel service for them every morning. We also do a breakfast club one Saturday a month, and we try to do at least 4 different community outreach activities during the year for every season. So we have a wonderful Christmas Eve program service that is excellent. We bring in a harpist that does a tremendous job. So we're keeping ourselves really busy and trying to reach out and touch the community as best we can.
I think that's great. I think you all are doing some wonderful work. And we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things that are going on at White Church and go into a little bit more detail about the role of the church in the community. So come back.
Makes you not care that you're wasting your life away. Makes you not care that your sister cries at night because her brother is out committing crimes and manufacturing methamphetamines.
Had completely kidnapped me, mind and soul, and the more I did, the more it built up inside of my body.
I noticed in myself short-term and long-term memory loss, nerve damage, my muscles sometimes twitch, just things that seem to be irreparable.
My gums have permanent damage. I have permanent bone loss underneath my gum line.
I have an eroded esophagus now. 6 years ago it was near cancerous. I still have problems today with it, and I get really bad heartburn. If I drink water, it can burn my throat.
I got cut from here all the way down to below my bikini line, and they removed all my large intestines. It left me with 1 inch.
I have tendinitis now.
Well, I got hepatitis C from injecting drug use.
You know, doing all that battery acid and muriatic acid and all that, it eats away not only at your teeth, but every bone, your eyes, it kills you.
You are the company you keep. So if you're hanging out with people that do drugs, you're going to do drugs.
I don't care who you are, you're not going to be able to function better on drugs.
Of course, I was always warned as a young kid, stay away from this, stay away from that. Whereas knowing what I know now, yeah, I would have definitely avoided it.
Nobody ever told me when I started it that, hey, this is an extremely deadly poison. If anybody had actually told me what it would really do to me, I would have walked right away from them and told them they're crazy.
There's nothing cool about it. There's nothing fun about it. It's deceiving at first, but it'll just take you to a place of going nowhere.
Becoming addicted for just one try or just one time, it's not worth it because that one time can kill you.
A couple nights of fun could lead to a whole lifetime of destruction.
Look at the pictures. They don't lie, like the mugshots, they don't lie. The people that are going to jail, it's not lying. It can be you. It's probably, in my opinion, the one drug that will make sure it happens.
Welcome back to Focal Point. I'm here again with Pastor Dan Eller of White Church Christian Church here in Wyandotte County, and we are going to continue our conversation about the role of the church in community initiatives as we work to provide some services that will help to counteract the social ills that our students face every day. And so we're back again. And I want to back up a little bit. We've talked about some of the things that your church is doing in conjunction with the school. White Church, and we were talking earlier about how that tends to raise some eyebrows. Give me a little bit of history behind the name of the church.
We have such a rich history. The church was actually started in 1832, and it was started by missionaries as an outreach to the Delaware Indians. It was established there for that purpose, and the missionaries, the first church building that they built was out of walnut logs, and they whitewashed the church, and the Indians named the church the White Church. And from that developed a trading post, became a community over the years. The name has stuck, and it's that name now in the historical registry. Our church is to be 180 years old this next year, and it's been continuously running and operating ever since that time. The structure that we worship in every Sunday has been there since 1903. It's limestone. They had two wooden buildings. One was fire, one was tornado that took it out, and they decided to build a rock building instead. But that is the building that we worship in today. So it's interesting that the church was actually established with the roots of reaching out and meeting the needs of people in the community. And I believe that's the only way the church is going to continue to move forward. Over the years that has happened, and as our culture has changed, and obviously the people types that live in the area change, so the church has to change. And we have to continue to be that outreaching arm to the folks that live in the community that surround us, and be the best resource that we possibly can to provide the love and support that we need to as the children of God.
Has outreach changed at all, the way that you need to reach out to the community? Have you seen any changes in that?
You know, I think that a lot of times with the conversations in our culture today about separation of church and state and et cetera, I think that sometimes the church has gotten a little discouraged and lost focus on what we've been called to do. You know, to love our God with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love our neighbors the way we love ourselves. And we shouldn't let anything hinder us from doing that and accomplishing that. And then trust in the Lord that He is going to provide the resources, that He is also going to provide the protection and the guidance that we need to reach out and meet the needs of people that are in our community. People really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is one of the objectives that we're doing in trying to do this outreach on the 17th of September, is to let people know that we care, that we're there, and it matters to us how people get through the situation and our current economic situations in America today.
And I think you're going about that in a wonderful way, because you're not just handing someone a pamphlet that says, you know, here's where you can go to get some help, but you're actually bringing those organizations to your church, and so bringing them into your community so that instead of me having to travel maybe to another part of Wyandotte County, I can go right down the street, 2 blocks away, and those resources are right there. And I think a lot of times that's critical to what we do. I may not have the means to get to an agency or an organization to be able to get services. So I think bringing them right there in the neighborhood is absolutely critical. What type of attendance are you expecting from the event that you have coming up?
Well, we're hoping to have, I would say, a minimum of 200 people there, not counting our church folks. I'm hoping 200 people from the community, and we're prepared to take care of 500. So we're putting out 250 invitations at the school next door. We're going to do a blanket door-to-door, handing out flyers in the week prior to the event. So I really hope that the weather's good, you know, and that's out of our control, so We'll have to continue to pray for that. But yeah, our hope is that we'll have somewhere between 300 and 500 people there, and that they'll be able to have some connections with some of the needs that they have.
And one of the things that we know from our work with grassroots movements in prevention is that relationships are key in everything that you're doing. You have to have those relationships. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to begin to build those relationships. If you could look ahead, what are some things that you would expect to happen or that you hope to happen as a result of your reaching out in your community?
Again, I have the vision of within the growing place for it to be a place where not just within the community, so to speak, but to the point where a child that went through the growing place and then eventually went on and graduated through school or whatever, that it could be put on his resume that I started my educational training in the growing place, and that it would mean something, you know, to the people that are in the community, to have that kind of reputation. But also, whatever our area of outreach would be, whether it's the young folks with children or whether it's the older folks, that it would become known in the community that that's the place to go if you need a resource. They will have the answer. They will be able to provide it for you in one shape or another. And I really think it's to get back down to the place where people can depend on the church, to where we are the authentic representation of what God intended the church to be, a fellowship of people that reach out and love. Yes, we may have differences, but we learn to get along and learn to love and support one another.
Have you reached out to other churches to collaborate on any activities or any initiatives?
We have done some with the Thanksgiving services. We've had 3 or 4 churches in the community come together. There are several community-wide events that take place, prayer events, etc. I'm new to the area. I've only been here for a little over a year and a half in the Wyandotte County area. I came from western part of Kansas before I was here, farther to the west. So I'm just now getting into some of those activities that are available that bridge the churches together as well. But yeah, we need to, absolutely.
And I will say, and I'll probably get in trouble for this, and I'll deal with that later. Sometimes we have issues with our churches because we're accustomed to doing our own things. This is my church, these are my activities, and we don't always bring our toys to the sandbox and play nicely. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. How do you deal with that?
I think that the Apostle Paul taught us in the Bible that the church is similar. He gave an analogy of the human body, that we are one body but many parts, and none can function without the other functioning properly. The eye can't say to the hand, I don't need you, and vice versa. In the culture that we have today with denominations, I believe that we need to take a broader scope of what we've been taught in the Word of God. That, yeah, we may have Methodists and Baptists and Christians and Protestants and Catholics alike, but they may be the arm, one may be the hand, one may be the foot, and across those denominational lines, we need to together form ourselves as the body of Christ, and not see ourselves in a competition per se, but see ourselves as a functioning body that cooperates and works together for the better of the entire community.
You mentioned that you came from western Kansas. Tell me about some of the differences that you've seen between what was going on in communities there and what you see in our community here.
Rural life is a little slower, much more laid back, but there are needs there that are very similar as well. But again, I believe that the concept of connecting to the resources has been a problem, has been an issue. There are folks that know how to do that, and if you don't know how to do it, sometimes I don't know whether it's pride or fear or just lack of motivation or thinking that there's nothing going to be there for me type situations, and people just not aware of what can be done and what our system has put in place to help them.
You mentioned when you were talking about the programs that you have for children, a Saturday breakfast once a month?
Yeah, we have breakfast club every Saturday, the third Saturday of every month at 8:30.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that. What are some things that go on during that?
We get together and we put on a great meal. Food always brings people, and we have a great meal. We have programs. We've had the sheriff come in. We've had the American Red Cross come in and share, and I'm sure in the future sometimes the Regional Prevention Center will be there to put on a little program. And this opens us up to a lot of opportunities. Again, once we find a little more for our little target area, what group of people we're going to be able to connect with and help the most, we will be bringing in people that represent the resources that will be specific to the needs that we find around us.
So are you targeting students from White Church Elementary, or if I have a high school student and I happen to live in that area, am I welcome to come also? What age group are you targeting?
The Breakfast Club is open to any age group. It's anybody that wants to come, they're welcome to be there at 8:30 and have a meal.
And I get free food and I don't have to cook.
Yeah, exactly.
What about in your daycare? Do you have after-school program also?
Well, the children that we have registered in the daycare that we're licensed to cover, we're full every day.
Okay.
We don't really have a latchkey program per se that is open to the public at this point in time, because the daycare facility itself, of course, by state regulations, we have to have ratios, etc. But 19 of those children are after-school kids that come in every afternoon when school's over. Yeah.
And do you have a set curriculum that you use with those students? What are some of the activities that you do with them?
All of like I said, all of the children come in for a chapel service. We have a worship time where the kids get to sing and read scripture, do that kind of thing before they go to school. And then with all the ages, from the infants all the way up to the 4-year-olds, we have a service every morning at 9:30 for them as well. But yeah, the curriculum all evolves around Christian character and values.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for coming today and for sharing what you all are doing. I have to tell you, following that meeting that we had, and then when we heard from your church member who was talking about how excited you were, how fired up you were, that really did a lot for us, because we realized, it's working. We're really moving forward and bringing together the different sectors of our community so that we can all work together, because we do have a common goal. We know that we have some social ills in Wyandotte County, and it is going to take a village. It's going to take all of us working together. So I thank you. Thank you for your part in that.
I just want to remind everybody, September the 17th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll be free food and fun for everyone that comes, and we're calling our event Community Connections.
Okay.
And I know that the Regional Prevention Center is having their county-wide, region-wide, whatever,
yes.
on the 24th,
yes.
Here on the campus of Kansas City, Kansas Community College as well. So
we're excited, and it's not going to rain.
No, it's not going to rain.
Okay.
Thank you so much for letting me come and share.
And thank you all for joining us for another edition of Focal Point. We'll see you next time.